first video of a series I'd like to call The Stuff Nobody Told Me, I decided to talk about a topic that uh, is widely misunderstood if people know about it at all. Some people may have this trait and not even realize it, and not being aware of and learning how to manage this trait can potentially be problematic, but also, in my experience, can provide a wonderfully full life with a unique perspective and, dare I say, might be considered a gift. So, what is that trait? Well, today I want to discuss highly sensitive people, or HSPs. Highly sensitive people heightened sensitivity to physical, emotional, and social stimuli. HSPs have a heightened sensitivity to physical, emotional, and social stimuli. In research, the term sensory processing sensitivity is used. So, what does that mean? Sensory meaning I'm using my five senses, processing what's coming in and what am I doing with that information as it comes in. And sensitivity meaning the intensity, the level with which I receive and process that, right? So, sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS, is another way of saying highly sensitive people. This is not a disorder, but a trait that is found in about 15 to 20% of the population. And it was studied and popularized by Dr. Elaine Aron in the 90s. And lots of research has been done, it continues to be done, peer-reviewed scientific journals around highly sensitive people and their experiences. One area of research focuses around just the fundamental concept and how individuals who are HSPs exhibit this heightened sense. Another area of research is around emotional reactivity. So how HSPs are often stronger or have stronger emotional responses than others, both to positive and negative stimuli, and how that could potentially affect their mental health and their well-being, right? Research also looks at how HSPs are affected by their environment, so environmental sensitivity, including both stressful, right, versus nurturing conditions. They also are using neural imaging to look at the neurobiology of HSPs, exploring how brain regions, such as those responsible for empathy and processing sensory output, are more active in HSPs. Right? We also study relationships of HSPs and how they function in the workplace, how they manage conflict and that overstimulation. And then finally, research looks at the development of sensory processing sensitivity in children. So how our early experiences can shape and have long-term consequences on our social, emotional, and cognitive development. So now that I've told you a little bit about the background of highly sensitive people, I thought it'd be helpful to share some characteristics of highly sensitive people. So things that we tend to have in common in experience. I consider myself a highly sensitive person, and these are things that I have experienced, and it was only in later in life that I realized that I fall into this category. So one of the key traits that people who are HSPs can have is this deep processing. We can be deep thinkers. So we can often be in our own little world, reviewing, processing, thinking over what has happened or what's going to happen, what's coming in, etc. But this can be misread sometimes as though we're, depressed or moody or angry. But this deep thinking can lead to strong analytical skills and also a keen intuition. Overstimulation is another characteristic of highly sensitive people. Due to this heightened sensitivity, we can become easily overwhelmed by loud noises or bright lights, crowded places, or chaotic environments. And so we may have to have a lot more downtime to recover from these sensory overload experiences. And I can speak to how this showed up for me both as a child and in raising an HSP. As a child, I always um, really loved to be under blankets, under beds, in closet, dark, quiet places where really you're having a sense of sensory deprivation. It's only now, well, seeing it in myself and then having my son as a young child, doing these same things and thinking, okay, I see what's happening. It's not necessarily something that's abnormal. It's sort of a way of decompressing and um, recovering from all of the stimulation. And if you think about it, in 2024, we have an incredible amount of stimulation, overstimulation going on, all of the information that's coming in constantly. Um, I really enjoy what are called float spas. So if I've never heard of a float spa, basically, there are places that have these pods of saline solution water that you can sit in. They're warm. You lay in these pods and you can have the lights off. You can maybe have slow music playing. But the idea is sort of the same thing. You're in this dark, small space where the outside world is kind of blocked out and all this other energy is blocked out. And so it can be really calming, but incredibly boring for other people. Another common characteristic is emotional reactivity and empathy. So, what do we mean? We experience emotions more intensely and have a stronger sense of empathy for others. We might cry easily or feel more deeply moved by art or music and be more affected by others' moods and emotions. This showed up for me. I was always very aware of other people's emotions since I was very young. Always wanted to feel like I had to navigate or uh, uh, do something to make people feel better, feeling almost like I was responsible for other people's feelings. And it took me a long time to sort of learn what that was and how to navigate that or manage that sense of feeling what other people are feeling, being keenly aware of what they're experiencing, and feeling like you need to do something to change it. Another characteristic is the sensitivity to subtleties, right? So we're often more attuned to the subtleties in our environment, whether that be small changes in people's moods or minor details in the surroundings, right? And this can make us really excellent at noticing things that people don't. And for me, it's more of uh, I think an example of that would be, early on in my marriage, my wife sometimes looked at me crazy, and my reaction to people sometimes, or not looked at me crazy, but probably side-eyed me a few times. But it was later when she got to see my sense of people, or if something feels off about someone, or I don't trust someone up from the jump, it generally unfolds and has come to fruition, or my instinct has come true. So that's another way in which I think being a highly sensitive person has served me. Another quality is this appreciation for beauty in nature. We really love art, we really love nature, and we find it rejuvenating. We find solace in these natural settings. Um, Moving to the particular area of California that we lived in for 7 years, it was almost like I arrived at this magical spiritual place, being where the redwoods were, the ocean, uh, the mountains, so much beauty in nature, and it was a very healing experience and a healing place, I do believe. And so, being that close to just nature and Mother Earth and connecting with that energy can be healing in my experience. So, some common, maybe not so pleasant experiences we can, live through, or I'm sorry, experience as a highly sensitive person, are this sense of social sensitivity. So, some common experiences or challenges that a highly sensitive person may have are that we are socially sensitive. We're very aware in our social interactions and may need more time to recharge, like I mentioned, after those social events. And we may be really uncomfortable with conflict or criticism, any sort of dissonance amongst people and amongst others. And it's interesting. I really used to be a very shy person and avoided conflict at all costs. Didn't want to, um, I wanted to appease everyone and didn't want any problems, right? So now later in life, to be someone who really embraces conflict and think healthy conflict is a good thing, uh, definitely still, though, gut instinct is to shy away from that. Another experience can be, high pressured, chaotic workplaces can be really challenging for us. We probably thrive better in low stress work environments, where there's not necessarily a whole constant interaction with people and a lot of overstimulation going on. And finally, this overstimulation can come stress, right? And we already know that stress in and of itself is not healthy for us. So you take that stress and you exacerbate it or intensify it, and it can really lead to symptoms and health consequences. And so it's really important that we take good care of ourselves as highly sensitive people. But I want to talk about the strengths, right? It's not just about the weaknesses or experiences that are not so pleasant. Some of the strengths of being a highly sensitive person include this level of empathy and compassion. I think that I'm able to do the work that I do, walk in my purpose, because I do have this sensitivity and awareness of what other people are feeling, ability to connect, ability to feel the energy shift or the energy when I walk into a room. Um, so that is a gift, but you have to learn how to wield it. Um, Another one is creativity. We have a rich inner life as highly sensitive people, and we can be really creative and excel in the arts and music and other creative fields. And for me, I have always done sort of something to express and get out or manage even, I think sometimes, the overstimulation that we have. So whether it was writing poetry, writing songs, just coloring, painting, doing crafts, doing those kinds of things, I think help manage some of that overstimulation when you don't know what to do with it. Uh, some other things that I have found or that others find to be useful to manage being a highly sensitive person. Number one is setting boundaries. It's hard, but learning to say no, um, creating, you know, boundaries can just avoid a lot of that overstimulation, knowing where we need to stop, knowing where our cup is and how full it is and how empty it is, and when we need to reset. And that means setting emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual boundaries, right? Across all of those. And I'm going to talk more about boundaries. That's another one of those topics that um, nobody told me, right? Another important way of managing is self-care. That word sometimes makes me cringe, as do most buzzwords, but really doing things to um, protect yourself from that overstimulation and or allow yourself time to recover from that rejuvenation. And that looks differently for everyone. So it doesn't mean, oh, you got to go get your hair and nails done or spend money. Self-care really just like can look like mindfulness and meditation and exercise and doing things like that to manage again, that anxiety that we can maybe sometimes feel or what we interpret as anxiety, which can, I think, sometimes just be overstimulation. Finally, creating a calm environment, or not finally, one more thing, but creating a calm environment, ensuring that our home life, our living space, our work life is soothing and is free from unnecessary stressors. I mean, life is stressful enough, so being able to create environments where you can experience as little of that as necessary, I think can be really powerful. And we also, I don't think, realize how much control we have over the ability to create calm environments, whether it's through our own behavior and modeling or modeling it before others, or sometimes eliminating things or people or places because we need to have a calm environment. The other final thing to manage is having like-minded people, being around like-minded people, people who understand and support you as a HSP, who know how to kind of love on you and encourage you to take care of yourself as a HSP. So I know that's a lot, and I don't want this to be an incredibly long video, but I just wanted to, I think, come on and talk about it because it's not something that people talk about a lot, I think, as a woman of color. It's not something that I really was ever exposed to till later in my life, to my hippie years, if you will. And it can be isolating and you can feel misunderstood. And so it's important for me to give people a different perspective, and that this can be a gift and it could be a part of your calling, your purpose, if you learn again how to yield it. The other point I think I just want to speak to before I go is just raising an HSP. My son, um, early on, I kind of realized he had the same sort of trait, even if I didn't have the words for it, in that he was very keenly aware of what's going on, my emotions, other emotions, the environment. Even though he was a happy-go-lucky little boy, he would he would get overstimulated, in certain environments and do things like I did, like being in the closet. And I'm like, what are you doing in the closet? I just like it in here. I can't, I get it. Yeah. I wish I could go into a closet sometimes as an adult. And you can't. It's actually okay. I've done it as an adult. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not ashamed of this. Sometimes I think we hear the word sensitivity or sensitive or empath, and we think weakness. We think it's something to be ashamed of or trying to change. And I'm actually proud of it. I love that my son is an HSP, and I think it gives him his how it shows up for him as a male is interesting to watch. And I try to, nurture that, and we try to nurture that in him as much as possible. But if you want to know more about being an HSP, if you want to take an assessment to see if you're HSP, I'm going to leave some information below for you. So I'm going to leave a link to this cool assessment that's really easy to take on Dr. Elaine Aaron's website. It's a scale that you can do to figure out if you're a highly sensitive person. I'm going to link to her website, and I'm also going to record and leave for you a meditation to help you protect your energy so that you don't feel that sense of overstimulation and kind of can prevent some of that and allowing people and places and things to get to you, as we can often do. So that's my little bit about being a highly sensitive person. I hope this is helpful to somebody out there, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Thanks.